With the Switch 2 on the horizon and Metroid Prime 4, a long-awaited Metroid Prime sequel coming later this year, let's talk about my favorite Switch game, Metroid Dread. I have a complicated relationship with the Switch. I've spent plenty of time with it, whether it was playing games on my brother's OG Switch, or playing Smash Ultimate with friends, or my frustrating odyssey with Breath of the Wild. I'm still not as connected to the system as, say, the GameCube or the original Wii, but after the Switch 2 Nintendo Direct, it seems they might be hooking me in for this second system despite my initial worries. There is one game that made the switch for me, and it's Metroid Dread. If you're a Metroid fan like me, you know very well we had been in a drought for a long time. Thankfully, it's looking better with Prime 4 on the way, finally. Our last main console Metroid was Other M, and that is not a good look. Between then and now, we've had 3 games, all 3DS games: Prime Hunters, Samus Returns, and Federation Force. The first is a decent attempt at a multiplayer Metroid game. I played it when it came out. It was fun enough, but nothing crazy. Samus Returns was just a reinterpretation for handheld, so nothing new, and Federation Force is just not a Metroid game. That is just embarrassing. So when Metroid Dread hit the Switch, I was ready. Why is Dread any better than those 3 previous games? For starters, as well-intentioned those other games are in providing more Metroid adventures on Nintendo systems, they very much feel like an afterthought. And that's not surprising considering how Other M was received, but to a lot of Metroid fans, me included, it felt like Nintendo was just never going to have enough faith in the character of Samus and the franchise as a whole ever again. So why Dread? Dread is a return to form in a lot of ways. With big franchises like Metroid and Sonic, it's hard for developers to go back to the native game design form those games took in their inception. If you're not making a AAA 3D adventure game, what are you doing? Is kind of the mentality in mainstream video gaming, which I think is pretty sad to see. So Dread even happening is a wonder entirely, since it's the first 2D mainline Metroid game since Fusion, and this isn't by mistake. The Samus suit design in Dread is heavily inspired by the Fusion design, which is great for me because it's my favorite suit for the iconic bounty hunter. Another curious thing is way back in 2009, before Other M even came out, there were rumors of a game called Metroid Dread being in development. It came out in 2021. That's crazy, right? On Shmups Forum, crazy name, I know, right? Giga Drive 32 interviewed Yoshio Sakamoto about this rumor, him cryptically responding, quote,
"The day may come when Dread hits the stores, but this one is something that's completely different. This is Other M."
End quote. Okay, so Metroid Dread was in some stage of development for 12 years? Quote,
"We landed on an idea we were happy with around 15 years ago and are really satisfied with the quality of the finished game."
15? Suffice it to say, this game is a labor of love on the conceptual level, on the story level, and on the game design. Speaking of game design, Mercury Stream, the development team behind Samus Returns for the 3DS, is really what made this concept real. The big concept that this whole game was built around is EMMI, or EMMI, an acronym for Extraplanetary Multiform Mobile Identifier, a Galactic Federation operative research robot that is potentially very dangerous if you get on its bad side. Bad luck for Samus. The mastermind behind this league of reprogrammed Emmys is a returning foe from Samus Returns, but let's cover some backstory real quick. The Chozo have been in the Metroid series since the very beginning, but at first were just represented by Chozo statues established to observe species on other planets, serving a gameplay role in providing upgrades for Samus. There was more information about them in the instruction manuals of Metroid and Super Metroid. Not much was known about them until the Metroid manga. I'm not going to deep dive here, so this video isn't massive, but the download is we have this bird-like species, the Chozo, that after Samus's family and colony was murdered by Ridley, they took her under their wings. Pun intended. Specifically, the one who took her in was Old Bird. Unlike Old Bird, Ravenbeak, the leader of the Makan tribe, first featured in Samus Returns, was not benevolent. In fact, the Makan were a warlike Chozo tribe that wanted to conquer the galaxy. Very different to the Chozo depicted in the manga, but there's so much history here. Dread is a sequel to Fusion. Retaining the general suit design from Fusion, we have Ravenbeak from Samus Returns, but his character also relies on the lore of the manga as well as the previous games. Even more than all of this, Dread is a return to form in horror.
Movies like Alien have had a big impact on us while developing the franchise, going all the way back to the first Metroid. We wanted to create a dark, eerie world, but it lacked a strong sense of dread.
The original Alien film in 1979 has always been the main inspiration for the Metroid series. From the very beginning, perhaps lessening with certain entries that deviated from the core, going towards a more action-heavy game and less a horror exploration game. The crux of the original Metroid games was always that you could play the game any direction and never know what you might find when you turn a corner, but still always find a way to the end. Here's the kicker though. In Dread, you have no map until pretty late in the game. And the map, while being true to the classic Metroids in that you can travel in any direction, the map is also broken into little pieces, almost like its own insidious force trying to get you throughout the game. Though many Metroid games of the past have proved how scary alien monsters can be, it's been proven time and time again in the science fiction genre how terrifying inorganic life can be, and it's especially relevant with the quite dystopian AI-oriented reality we seem to be moving towards. In the case of Dread, the team took cues from pantomime videos to elicit an eerie form. Think Dave from 2001 or Gladys from Portal combined with the kid from The Exorcist. Even more than any of that, think about the way these automatons invoke not just a projected horror of some distant future, but a primal dread. Put yourself in Samus's visor again. For the first time since you were a kid, you're on your back foot, goosebumps all over. The monster from the dark is coming on its hind legs to get you. You need to keep moving, or you might end up dead.